do want to get back into it. I'm determined to complete the 1001 movies you must see before you die.
Well,
Uh,
that's like you're gonna have to get back to
yeah.
like three movies an episode or something. Because how many of them have you done so far? Do you know?
The last time that I calculated, which was before this year, when there were a lot more episodes, it was about I had done about 120 something movies, I think. Probably
You
150 to 175. I don't know. Maybe not that much.
so maybe you're 15% of the way through this list, and how long has it been going on? The 1001, it's been going on since 2019,
Yeah.
or 2020. Did you start?
No, 2020. Sorry. Yeah, 2020. Yep, during the pandemic.
I
Uh
remember I remember listening to it
yeah.
while in the initial stages of lockdown at home.
Yeah, when people were eager to watch 5 movies per episode, I think about that still. It's like, wow, I'm a psychopath. I'm like, here,
No,
watch
it,
these
it
5 movies.
it turned out to be great only because that was the perfect time for everybody to be like, yeah, sure, I'll watch 5 movies. Because
Yeah.
I certainly couldn't do that now.
You're right. You are right, though. I guess it did give people like something to do. It was like, oh, I have this assignment due by the end of the week.
And there was usually a little bit of a lead up. Like I was able to,
Yeah.
it wasn't like you have to watch these in 7 days. You had a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Usually knew like a month in advance, and then you'd get little reminders here or there. But yeah, like I want to keep doing this. Like it's fun, and it's gotten down to a small number of guests, which is fine. I mean, I don't really feel at this moment like I need to reach out to guests. If maybe the show grows, if it grows in 2023, then yeah, I'll start asking around and getting interesting people that are into film that I've never met on the show. But I think right now I like how it is. I like the few people that I do have on the show, and then kind of regulars. And it makes it fun and easy. It doesn't feel like a job or an assignment. It just yeah.
We're completely in agreement on everything you said so far. That this year, people could be forgiven for assuming I gave up on the show or I have stopped doing my show because I
Yeah.
have not released many episodes. It's been months, I think, since my last episode. And the episodes I did release, I recorded in like January. Like I haven't I haven't recorded much this year.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been in I mean, I talked about this on my show. I'm being a little kind of vague about my mental issues with this because it's kind of boring. It's nothing really dramatic. It's just like I'm kind of burnt out with my work life balance,
Yeah.
and this is fun to do, the talking part, but the work of editing it and scheduling it can be a little bit of a bummer, especially when I have so little time to watch a movie. And when I watch a movie, I am almost out like a light. Like as much as I think like I can stay awake for a movie, I sit down and I start watching a movie and I'm out. I fall asleep. I can't stay awake because I'm so tired with my sleep schedule and with work
Yeah.
that it started to be it was just like it was another thing that I would rather just not have that stress where I would just be like, I'm not going to worry about the show right now. And I'm
Mhm.
at a point right now where I want to get some episodes banked. I don't know exactly what the future of my show will look like, but I know that I want to keep doing it because it is fun to do. But I don't know if that means I'll do seasons like when I have a period like this where I might have some time off. I'll just bank a bunch of episodes
Yeah.
and then do like a couple of months of releasing regularly, and then like, okay, I'm going to take a break here, and then we'll be back in a month with some new episodes, like stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever. I want it to be regular, the schedule, because that a consistent schedule is better for just my productivity and of course a listening experience for anybody who is following the show. Yeah, I just don't want to do this like an episode every few months kind of thing. I want to like have a schedule I can keep to.
Yeah, yeah, same. Like it was I as much as I tried this year, I tried so hard to stay on schedule and just something would come up. And sometimes honestly, I would just forget I had episodes to edit. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I should edit that episode." I've had it
Huh.
for like a month. Like I just have to like write these things down like in my calendar or something just to, because I do like, but it is like kind of time consuming, and it is, I think, probably, I think we're on the same page. It's like it's my least favorite part out of this whole thing. Like I wish I could have someone else do the editing. It's like,
I do
just
too, but I also don't want, I kind of don't want anybody else to like make a decision of what to keep in and what to take out.
that is true. Yeah.
I used to, in the first couple of months of doing my show, I would meticulously edit anytime there was a pause that was too long, or somebody just kind of went or like had to double back over what they said, like kind of stumbled a little bit. I
Yeah.
would edit that, and mostly it was because I was trying to get the, hit a time limit. I was like, I don't want to go over 90 minutes, and I was always failing that. And I would just be like taking out a second here and there, anything I could to get it down a little bit. But also because every time you take out an you sound like 10% smarter. It is such
Oh
uh,
yeah.
it is such an easy little thing. But then taking out all those ums is so time consuming that I'm like, people get it. people people get it, like that we're talking and we're just off the
Yeah.
top of our heads. And um there I go with and it's just, I'm fine, just keep putting it out there, like.
Yeah, I think we have to accept there and that we are smart despite our ums. I think like we have to just like, even though we a lot, I like, are there any like smart people that don't like, I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I listen to podcasts, and there are some that I listen to. I
Yeah,
know they edit them out, and they have admitted it, and it sounds so smooth and professional.
yeah,
But I don't know if that's just me, because I grew up with, my entire family lived in one huge house when we were growing up. So my
yeah,
grandparents were around. My grandmother really, really tried to condition the ums and likes out of my vocabulary. All those filler words, like, really would kind of point them out whenever I use them. After a while, I let go of trying to police myself. But I think
yeah.
when I get into a rhythm, I think I'm okay. But now I'm going to be thinking about it all day. All this episode, I'm going to be thinking about ums.
Yeah, I did notice though that there are podcasts that, pretty noteworthy or high profile podcasts. Well, not like the really like produced ones, but some of the more casual conversation ones. A lot of the ums are like kept in, they are kept in there. They're not really edited out. And at first, you don't really notice it unless you're actually looking for it. And then you start to notice, like, oh, it's just part of it. It kind of flows. It's not as noticeable. I mean, some people, like, if it's excessive, it's noticeable. But if it's done here or there, I think it can flow. It can flow right. I mean, I'm not saying like all the ones I've heard in podcasts sound, that have this flow. But let's get to, well, this episode is actually being recorded right before, this actually might be the last episode recorded in 2022. It is December 29th. And it's been kind of rainy the last couple of days, which has been great because I love the rain. So
I love the rain. I miss the rain.
yeah,
We're supposed to get a lot next week, and
yes,
I am of two minds of it, because when it rains, I can't work, and I need work right now. But
yeah.
also, I love days off, and I love the rain. I just
Yes.
wish I could have those days off and still get paid.
Oh yeah, I know. I kind of did that yesterday. I left work early because it's been really slow. And I was already watching a movie on my phone while I was working. I'm like, I can just go home and do this. I have PTO or I can just use that. So I stayed home and watched a bunch of movies yesterday. Well, I left home. I went home early. At my job, I wake up at 4 a.m. I go in super early. So I worked 5 hours. I got off like at 10. I still had like an entire day to watch movies. So I got a lot of movies in yesterday. And this is actually in preparation for your podcast.
Oh, awesome.
Catching up on some horror that
Oh,
I missed from this year.
I guess we can just say it. I'm putting together a retrospective of 2022 in horror, because like, I'm not always able to keep up.
Yeah.
with what the new
Wait,
releases
was
are.
this like a surprise or like?
No, 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 it's
Oh,
not a
okay, okay.
surprise
I'm
at all.
like, did I ruin
No, no, it's just I didn't
it?
know if you wanted to devote time in your show. I mean, you can edit it out
Oh
if you want
no,
to.
not yeah, no, please go
But
ahead. No, yeah, not
one
at
of the
all.
things there's a couple of recap episodes I'm going to do in January. One is the music of 2022 because I did the thing I did in 2021 where I tried to listen to a new album every day. So me and my friend Zeke are going to go over our favorite music, like our top 10 albums of the year,
Sweet.
which is like an off-brand. Like it's a movie show I'm doing, but we're both music. We both really like music, and
Yeah.
it's just fun to do. And then a recap of horror movies from 2022 because, like I was just saying, I don't get to keep up on new releases very often. I don't, I used to go to the movies every week. I don't get to do that anymore, especially in the years of the pandemic. I haven't been able to go to the theaters, and so I'm usually behind the zeitgeist when things like come out. But this year has been incredibly strong for horror in general, and I've been lucky enough to like watch a lot of them. Like I've seen there's like one major horror release I have not seen, and that is X. But by the time I record, I will have seen it because I'm going to watch it probably on Saturday.
Oh, so you already
Um,
saw Pearl?
oh, X and Pearl I haven't seen. I'm
Oh,
not sure
okay.
I'll be able to watch Pearl because Pearl is still a rental only, but
Yeah.
X is on Showtime, and I have Showtime at the moment.
Oh, cool. Nice. I can't, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that talk because I agree with you. It has been a really solid year as far as horror. I think maybe also movies. I don't know. There was a lot of films this year that I really like. I felt like maybe the last few years it was hard to get. I didn't really have an idea of like even like a top three or five, maybe a top three, but not like a top five by this point because this is usually the time of year where I start catching up with what I missed throughout the year. But I had watched a lot. I went to the movies a lot this year, up until the end of summer. So I'd seen a lot, and I felt like there was a lot of really good stuff out there, like indie, foreign, even some of the Hollywood stuff. It's just a really good year, I think, for movies. And there's still stuff I haven't seen that I'm really looking forward to.
I know we were talking about doing a recap for your show, which would just be more general movies, not
Yeah.
horror.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't think I saw that many movies that weren't horror. I've been kind of like most of the movies I've seen, it's been horror and family films because it's stuff like horror that I want to watch or it's stuff I watch with the kids. But then I like looked at my letterboxd list and I was like, oh no, I've seen some of the stuff. Like they're not as much as you, nowhere near it. But it's been it has been a really good year for movies, I think. But yeah, like I forgot where I was going with it. But yeah, I don't know. I've ran out of gas on that. I
Yeah,
don't know what I was
no
about to
worries.
say.
I think that this is a perfect time to segue into the Kingdom, episode 4, The Living Dead. But okay, so we're continuing with the Kingdom. This is the final episode of the first series or the first season of the Kingdom, directed by Lars von Trier. Um, okay, this last episode, episode 4, The Living Dead. My goodness.
I know. You want to jump right to that ending, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. Like, I also like outside of just the ending, I don't know where to jump in because I mean, you can really start anywhere. I mean, I guess let's start with and I gotta pull up the names because they always slip my where okay. Stig. Let's start with Stig and his and the way is okay, the way that this episode starts with Stig, obviously there's something off. He is way too bubbly, not bubbly, but he's in a good mood, like he's
He's
in good spirits.
copacetic.
Yeah. And it's weird and it's strange, and obviously there's something up. And I mean, we slowly start to, this plan that he has with the Haitian and what he's planning to do. And it's just like, where's
Well,
this going?
that is developed
Yeah.
in the show because in the episode because
Yeah.
it starts out he has basically reached not like some sort of peace with the idea that he is about to be fired. He is
Yeah.
probably about to face some repercussions for the botched surgery on Mona. And he just kind of comes in. He's like, okay, I am going to resign. I'm going to take Rigmore, his girlfriend. Um, he's gotten them tickets to go to Haiti, that she's been wanting to go to Haiti for a very long time. And he's going to resign. And he kind of, even he's just nice to people. He's like hugging people. You think there is something behind it, but no, he just is kind of at peace. And the two dishwashers talk about that, where they're like, the Swedish man is no longer angry, and the girl's like, that's not good. And the guy's like, no, that's not good at all. um, but
Yeah.
then you kind of see him. So yeah, we're I mean we're kind of just focusing on him, but Rigmore has that book on Haiti that she's like, oh, here, you should read this, but skip chapter 3 about zombies. And it's like, what do you mean zombies? And he
Yeah.
hears about the Haitian
Yes.
powder that basically puts people into a kind of a comatose state. And the gears start working, and he starts coming back to himself. He is an asshole in this show, and in this episode, like, what he does to the only person in the hospital who likes him is so, like, it's just so callow. It's such a dick move what he does to her.
Yeah, it's really it's really messed up. Like he couldn't just be upfront about what he was doing. He just had to like weasel his way out of the trip by, leaving her behind and just like he has her cover her eyes, right? Or something and
Yeah,
then
he's
he
like, cover
walks
your eyes.
away.
Here's your surprise is coming. Don't
Yeah.
open them. And he grabs like the plane tickets and leaves the office and rushes into a cab with the Haitian orderly, and they go to the airport. And she just sits there for a very long time, like waiting for
Yeah, very long
Escape to come back with
time.
the surprise.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, which never happens. So outside of that, we have more explanations on what happened to the little girl, Mary.
We
Uh
get the
yes,
entire backstory for Mary at this point.
yes. Which I have to
With
say that entire segment was one of the best things about this show. Like just the way that was uh, directed by Lars von Trier. Like it was really like captivating. I really loved that. I think that was the moment where I paused the show because I was kind of watching it. I was watching obviously because it's subtitled, but I wasn't really like fully paying attention, like engaged. So I had to pause it and then come back to it because I realized it was getting really good. I just wanted my attention 100% for that. But that scene itself, just it's so good.
Yeah, it's great because we've got Miss Druce is kind of well. I guess to get to that,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Druce and her son and his orderly friend, I can't remember what his name is, bury Mary in the old. It's where the chapel used to be. Is that what they say, or was it the mortuary? I think, but they
yeah,
bury her uh, in the earth because there's lots of construction going on with the earthquake that
yeah.
was in the last episode. Or not last episode, but there was anyway, they bury her. And then but she's still kind of like, what do I do with this ghost that's around here? Like, I don't see how everything is connected.
Oh right,
And
the Exorcist.
she's walking through the basement, the labyrinthine basement, and Mary appears to her. We start to see the story, and Mary's mother appears as well. And it's such an interesting, the way that you're right, the way that's directed, the way that's edited, because the ghosts are semi-transparent, and Druce is there physical, and the camera keeps shifting, but it's always the three faces like superimposed over each other
Yeah.
in different uh, formations. That it's very kind of impressionistic. It's very well. I'm trying to think of a word other than surreal. Yeah, you're right. It's captivating. It's a really well directed scene.
Yeah, he definitely Lars von Trier definitely gets a lot of like inspiration from silent film, like just the way that some of these like is that scene is shot. It reminds me of that Victor Seastrom film, The Last Carriage, no, The Phantom Carriage. It kind of has
Mm,
that kind of
yeah,
like dreamlike kind of quality that that movie has, and I think that he really does that well when it comes to things like this in this movie when you're dealing with ghosts and the ethereal. Like it, he has a way of just like capturing that essence because like that story as we're watching it unfold, just is kind of moving through this like play that's like sort of happening around here. It's really tragic thing that happens to Mary, and we find out more about Og Kruger, who's played by Udo Kier, and his relationship to Mary, and you know one of the things that we find out is that he is Mary's father and illegitimate child that he was trying to keep a secret, and takes her away under the guise of tuberculosis, but that turns out to be a lie, right? Like that wasn't true. That was just a way for him to take her away.
that's
And
right. Yeah,
and then and this is the part that I found confusing. He is poisoning her with the what was it? The
chlorine.
yeah, right?
Yeah, it chlorine
That's
gas.
oh okay. That's how he kills her.
He is a noble man. A nobleman is what
And
the mother
yeah,
says, and but he's married and has kids, and so she goes to see him after Mary is born, and he tries to pay her off, and she's like, "No, I don't want your money, but I'm going to tell her about you on her seventh birthday." And so he comes back in their life and like says, "Oh, she has tuberculosis. I'll help her." Takes her to the hospital, and he begins treating her with chlorine gas, which kind of slowly kills her
yeah,
because he's trying to keep this illegitimate child, a secret.
yeah.
And it part of the scene, like I can't remember it. Like it's been a long time since I've seen this, but I don't remember in my any of my viewings being as moved by this scene as I was this time. And it's mostly because of Mrs. Drusse's uh, facial reactions, because she's standing there, she's kind of like, we're seeing all these faces together, so it's not exactly like a realistic, like we're seeing what she's like, we're seeing her face, and then in front of her is this play going out, like you're not entirely sure where everybody is supposed to be in relation to each other, but we're just seeing her face, and the like her face kind of falls and these tremors move across her face the more she hears the story. It's such a, like I keep saying that everybody in the show has like such great faces, but like watching her and her reaction to this was very emotional to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. She gives a really great performance and a lot of it and yeah, you're right.
Completely
This
wordless at this point.
yeah, it reminds you of like Theodore Dreyer, like Passion of Joan of Arc, like just like a lot of that is like close up on facial expression. A lot of his films are, but like that is another thing like in that performance is great. And she's actually really good like throughout the whole show. I think she's one of the best. I mean, everyone's pretty great, but like I like on top, I think it's her performance is up there. She really does give really amazing. And I like the word that you use because I think that was the word that I was trying to find, moving. That it's very moving moment. Like it really it kind of it takes you in and then it emotionally, well you're already emotionally invested because you're already kind of like concerned for Mary and what happened to her, and so you already kind of know her a little bit. You're not just being thrown into this story, so by this point you know something, and then everything all the gaps are being filled in. It's just very tragic to see like what happened to her. It's just like, oh my god, like that's so awful.
Yeah.
No wonder she's so tormented, like in this hospital, and then which leads to the exorcism to just sort of ease that. Like I don't know much about exorcisms, but I didn't know you can like exorcise like a ghost or a spirit.
Well, I mean, it's all kind of made up. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know if I actually do not know if anything in this exorcism is based on
yeah,
like Danish cultures, um,
uh-huh.
because it's not like an exorcism like we cast you out. It is basically like we're well, it is like we're pushing you out,
Yeah.
but they're pushing her into a hole that they then break up, which
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if it means that she is being put to rest or if it means like we're just blocking her up in here so she doesn't wander around. um,
Yeah.
but the girl, I gotta look this up, who plays Mary in this is like her reactions, like her crying faces. I don't know. Did you see the rehearsal, the Nathan Fielder show on
Oh no,
HBO?
I did not.
Okay. I'm not sure what in that show is real and what isn't, but I will say the one thing I came away from in that show is the absolute conviction that we should not allow child actors anymore. Like it's such a horrible thing to do to kids. And
Yeah.
I I hate part of this is like I hate seeing kids in distress in movies, not so much because it's like, oh, how dare they put kids in distress? It's just like I'm always wondering what like how what did they do to get that reaction out of the kids? Some kids are good actors, but then like you see kids small enough that some of them are just kind of being tortured, like being held kept
Yeah.
away from their parents so that we can get a crying reaction. Certainly, she's old enough in this. She'd be old enough. She could conceivably like cry and react like that. But I just like I watch that. I'm like, I sure hope that she was treated well on this set because she is putting out some seriously miserable crying faces in her, like these pathetic cries. And I don't mean pathetic. I just mean like you just your heart goes out to her in these scenes. And I hope she's just a really good actress.
Yeah, me too. I hope Lars was nice to her because I really do hate seeing children in distress. It always breaks my heart, and it just feels so bad. I know it's not real. It's like a made up story, but still, it's like, damn, they really are. That's like my weak spot. I guess maybe I don't know. Is that everyone's weak spot, or is that just like people who have children, or daughters specifically? But so this leads to the exorcism, which apparently, according to them, requires minimum of three or is it a maximum of three? I don't remember, but they said so. It was is Drusse her son
Son.
and the third person. Who's the third person?
Hook,
Hook.
Croak.
Yeah. Crook.
He
Sorry, Hook.
he's the one who starts to like in this episode. He's like, oh, there's weird stuff going on in this hospital. I'm just going to believe what I hear from this old lady who seems to be plugged into it more than I am.
Yeah.
Um, and so he helps, but he doesn't actually have any proof of all this until he sees Mary's ghost, and he seems very shaken by it, but goes through with helping with the exorcism.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does see her ghost. Yeah, you're right. So they so they end up so they end up so this is building up towards that. And then before that is completed, one of the other stories deals with Moog and Judith,
Yeah,
right?
the sleep study researcher, the doctor in charge of
Yes.
that.
So he's continuing to have his nightmares, which the way that when he's getting eaten, it reminds me a lot of Night of the Living Dead, the original. The way like the way that the shadows are like cast on the actors' faces as they're nibbling away. I don't know, it's very reminiscent. Even the faces of the characters remind me of the zombies in the scene after the truck explodes at the gas pump. It's just like both times that they've shown it, it reminds me of that. So that's happening, and man, like why do I get these characters like confused? These names just like blend together. Moog and Judith are the ones that are no. Who are the two that are having the kid?
Oh, Hook and that might be. Let's see, that might be a name that you're mixing up. I'm trying to because
Because that was actually the story that I want to talk about. Hook and
Judith is the one that's having the baby, but you're talking about I cannot remember the name of the doctor who is doing the sleep study. She's kind of it's not Camilla.
Karen.
I'm looking at the names. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. There are some of the characters I'm not really getting names of either, but I mean, I just recognize them when they're on screen.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Hook and Judith, right? Those are that's the two that are having the kid, the baby.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
so
not
that
the father. The father is
right,
Oak
yes.
Kruger.
Yeah, right, right. Um so she confronts him about his how he's been acting towards her because he's convinced that she's a ghost because she went transparent on one occasion in episode 3, right?
Yeah,
um so and she thinks, obviously she thinks it's because the baby, and thinks that maybe he has changed his mind, but they talk about it. And this is also, is this the episode where we find out, where they talk about when Mary points at Judith's baby?
yes.
This, damn, I watched this like 2 days ago, and I can't remember the what
Yeah,
episode, like.
this one, because you remember, I think in episode 2, the neurosurgery that Stig was performing with the guy that wanted to be hypnotized, um,
Right, yeah.
instead of being anesthetized. And you
Uh-huh.
remember from that, he says that Mary appeared and held his hand, and when
Right.
Judith walked by, pointed at Judith and said family. But Drusse in this episode is like, could she have been pointing at the belly and talking about the baby and not Judith? Because Judith is only 11 weeks on in her pregnancy, but looks like she's at like 7 or 8 months. Like
Yeah,
she's very pregnant in this episode. The pregnancy is going very fast because in episodes
yeah.
1 and 2,
Mhm.
she's not showing at all.
And then all of a sudden, it's there. She's got a bump. And she seems to not, she seems to have convinced herself too that like nothing's wrong, while like everyone's telling her that this is unusual.
Yeah, well,
Like very unusual. I mean, at a certain point, like
I get it though. You don't want to believe anything's wrong with
right,
your
yeah,
body or your baby. She does try to convince herself, like, oh, maybe I just had the dates wrong. Maybe I just was wrong about or misremembered when I realized I was pregnant. Maybe it has been longer, but yeah, she takes some convincing, and it's not until Hook leaves her with the photo that she has of a modern day Og and that 1919 newspaper article that shows Og with Mary,
right,
that she
yeah,
realizes, like, oh, there might be something wrong, like with the father and with the where this kid is coming from. And Mary appears to her. That, I think, is what pushes her over the edge, because Mary talks to her.
yeah.
Mary is very active in this episode, much more so than any of the other episodes. The others, she kind of walks around and she's silent, but in this, she has conversations with several people.
Yeah, she starts to have an effect on more characters in the show. Uh so all this is sort of building up too, and then there's just like there's all that going on, and then we
Well,
have Stig
I,
away. Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're about to get to the ending, but the other one I want to talk about, and this one is kind of more of a comedic side story, but
Oh
it
yeah,
goes
that's the
straight
one
in.
I was getting to.
Oh, I thought you were going to go straight to the
No, no,
end.
no, no, because that was my favorite one.
Oh, go ahead then.
Because it was so unexpected. So there's like this inspection of some sort going on, where there's these people visiting the hospital, like very important people checking it out. And as they're going through the hospital, they're noticing uh the the strange happenings of the characters that we follow throughout the show. And as they're going, uh they're in the middle of all of this stuff we've just kind of sort of talked about, or it's sort of like building up to, like they come across the exorcism in the basement. They find people having sex. Like it was like, what kind of research is going on here? Like it's just like this really audacious, hilarious, like just like almost surreal like journey of these very like proper like doctors witnessing what is going on at this hospital.
Yeah, and Einar Mosgard, the administrator,
Yes.
had earlier asked Stig to take these people on this tour because he's like, I can't do it. I get too nervous. I freeze up.
Yeah.
And you just see him like kind of like get more and more bewildered and like more and more like I don't know what's going on kind of through it. Because yeah, he's like, well, oh, let's go down through the basement. There's a like a neuro lab patient and a doctor and an orderly, and they've knocked a hole in a wall, and the patient is covered in ectoplasm, but they don't know that. They're just like, this lady is drenched. What's going on down here?
Yeah, what?
And then they're like, oh, let's take a look at your state of the art sleep lab. And they walk in there, and there is the administrator's son having sex with the doctor who is like in charge of the lab. And they're like, what's going on here? And then they're like, well, let's look around. Like, let's look at your neuro lab, uh, or what? Not neuroscience wing. And they find that a doctor, they don't know, they don't find out it's Bondo, but Bondo is having
Yes.
a liver transplant. And they're like, you do surgeries here in this part of the hospital? And it's and they move on, and then they
Yeah, and
what's
then
oh, then they find the abortion.
yeah, oh man.
And it's just it's everything, every storyline is coming to a head, and Einar is kind of like giving these guys a tour, an unwitting tour through all of it. And yeah, it is
It's
very
great.
funny, like the
Yeah,
reactions and the
yeah.
dryness of it.
It's very, yeah, it's so strange how like we come from that really sad story earlier on, and how the tone sort of shifts for that moment, like how these two things exist within. I mean, the director says that at the end of the show, you know, you take the good with the evil, and it's just like all of it is in there. It's not shy about being this movie. The show is not shy about being funny. Like it definitely leans into it in a way that works, and is like in that scene, like in that whole sequence, is really amusing. Um,
Well, the dishwashers talk about it. I can't remember all their dialogue exactly, but they're talking about it, and it's always the guy seems to know more, and the girl is asking him questions.
yeah,
And she asks him, like there will be like there, or he's talking about how there will be fear and sadness, and then she's like, but some joy too, and he's like, yes, there will be some joy. The good will cry and the evil laugh, or however he puts it,
yeah,
which is, yeah, it is kind of like not the mission statement, but it is a good description of this episode, because it is very funny, but it's like there is sadness, and a lot of the good people in this show um, have suffered, or are suffering, or will suffer, as we see. Um,
yeah.
oh,
Uh-huh.
I should also say we get Stig in Haiti
Oh
in
yes, yes.
some very, well, it's a mix of what looks like kind of probably B-roll stock footage, and a couple of shots. It's clearly like a studio. They put some sand down on the floor.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of a racist show, a racist choice, right? To be like the one guy is like just like the one Haitian he knows.
Yeah, yeah,
He's like, hey, can you tell me about zombies? And he's like, it's a secret. He's like, can you
yeah,
tell me about Haiti? It's a secret. Well, how much would I have to pay you to help me get like this zombie powder? He's like, $10,000 in provisions. And it's just like they go down there, and like they know exactly. It's like everybody they talk to knows, you know, about zombies and voodoo dolls, and it's meant to be funny, but it is also like, you know, a cloistered white person's view of what Haiti must be like.
oh yeah, like I mean that character only exists for that doctor to go to Haiti, you know, like the character serves like it serves almost no purpose. Like it is only to drive that character to that location to get what that character wants. Like it's very, yeah, it is very 1994.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
But we do get another great overhead shot of Stig with his arms
oh my God,
outstretched,
yes.
staring at the camera, as he's like, now you will bow before me, you Danish scum, or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, and that's the
and
last we see for of him in this episode, right? I think
yes,
that's the end of it. Yeah, the end of his.
while I'm really delaying the gratification of talking about this ending, but while Rigmore is
Yeah.
back in the hospital, she has released all of the lab rats that they
Oh my
use for
God.
studying, and is getting drunk and hunting them, shooting them all.
She is a great shot. She's also crazy as hell. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but like, dude, like you don't want to like backstab someone like that. Like her releasing the rats and just shooting and just killing rats. I mean, I don't really like rats, but still, it's so
Hmm.
cold blooded.
I love rats. I used to have rats.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
they're super clean.
Hmm.
They're super smart. They're adorable. I think they're like, I have this problem in horror movies that try to use rats as like a symbol of fear, because
Hmm.
they always put like glycerin on them and just make them really wet and ratty looking, and like matted down fur and everything. They try to make
Yeah.
them look gross, but I'm looking at them like, oh, they're so cute. Like
Yeah.
I used to have rats. Like I think I just said that. Um, and they're great. They can be really, I don't know. It's, you don't want to anthropomorphize animals too much, but they seemed affectionate, and they were like, playful and cute, and like I said, clean. All like, they're as clean as whatever they're living in. Like, so of course, if they're in the sewer, they're probably dirtier than if they
Yeah.
were in, you know,
In your
my
home.
apartment.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Uh, yeah,
no,
so how did you feel about her shooting all those rats?
well, I did not like it because they actually killed all those rats. They
Yeah,
were,
I had a feeling.
and that's actually pretty much the only footage that consistently got excised. Like when this came over here, like
Yeah,
that is one of the scenes that they just took out because they're like, animal cruelty. We're not going to
yeah,
show this.
yeah.
And I never like that. I know there's a lot of people who are like, you can't kill the cat, you can't kill the dog. That's like, you can do whatever you want narratively. I do not like it that it's real. On,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you shouldn't actually putting animals in danger. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
so yeah, I didn't like that, but like narratively, like it's a good scene. She's crazy. She's being kind of funny. Like, I love that scene when she
Yeah.
pulls the gun out in her office and Einar comes in
Yeah.
and just like talks to her like, "Oh, can you do this for me
Yeah.
later, later?" And like leaves and then comes back and like, "Oh, I'm sorry to have interrupted you," and leaves. And she's just standing there the entire time with this big pistol in her hands, like holding it up in front of her. And he like
Yeah.
just
He
talks like
just
he's not noticed it.
I know, does not acknowledge the gun at all. He just kind of goes about his business and he walks out. Man, she's great. Yeah, she's a total badass. So, okay, so I guess I think that leaves the ending, which,
Yeah.
we go from, we've talked about, sadness and the really funny moments in this, and then we go to the really I just watched The Fly also. So you go to like David
Well,
Cronenberg lengths kind of with the ending.
yeah.
Um,
So to set it up,
yeah,
Judith Judith has a talk with Mary, and Mary is like, this is my little brother. You cannot, he cannot be allowed to live. You cannot let this baby be born. And Judith agrees to have an abortion because even though she is clearly very far along, it is only 11 weeks in, which is like kind of like, I guess 12 weeks is maybe the cutoff, is what Hook says.
yeah,
And so they're going, and um, they're going to have an abortion, and that's what's going on at this ending. Is while right after the exorcism, we get Miss Druce going like, how long after the exorcism did we leave that hole open because the lights go out? Like, it was only a couple minutes. I'm sure it's okay. And then we go
yeah.
to the seeing this abortion. What happens? Because I don't know how to say it, but it's got to be one of the greatest, most it leaves the biggest impression in terms of character introductions. Like, can you think of a more memorable first scene, like entrance for a character to make?
No, I think he's Lars has got it beat. Like I don't think so. That is really it's so visceral
Because we see her like, she has to pass. They basically inject and kill the fetus, and then they're
several
going to
times.
they're going to induce a sort of labor to just like, that's the easiest way to do it, I guess. Like, she's in pain, and then we get close-up shots of her vagina, and there is something pressing at it from the inside. And
Can't
then
tell at first.
yeah, and then surprise, it's a screaming, blood-covered Udo Kier popping out of, like, his head popping out from between her legs. Close up. It's so gross.
Yeah, it
But
is really disturbing.
and
I
then
was not expecting that at all.
and then immediately cut to credits.
Oh yeah, and then cut to Lars just casual, like, yeah, you just so casual about what you just saw. Like just like did you not realize what just happened? Like it was great. It was a great ending to the show. Or to the first season. But yeah, it was so unexpected and just so like brutal. It really gets you. I was so pumped after I watched it.
Yeah, well, can you believe this aired on television? This was a TV miniseries.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, this aired in what where Denmark, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, like they're really lax, right?
And this isn't cable. This is
Yeah,
free to air, like television that you just get on a pair of like rabbit ear antenna.
that is
Um,
crazy.
it it's such a like escalation how this show kind of like builds and builds and builds the craziness of the supernatural. And well, I should say, like, while this is going on as well, um Drusse Hannah has a realization. It's like, oh no, we left it open too long. And there's one of the guys that was there for the inspection, like lost in the basement, and this kind of trolley car golf cart thing full of ghosts, some of them in powdered wigs,
Yeah.
like all having a party on this thing, like drive through him basically. So everything, the supernatural has finally fully emerged and is going to go crazy in the hospital from here on out. And but we don't see it. Like it goes straight to credits.
Yeah, and then like I realized that there's like a 3-year gap between the first one and the second season.
Yep.
It's like, wow, imagine like watching that on live on TV on I'm trying to find the air date, December 15th, 1994. And then you have to wait till October 10th, 1997 to find out what happened.
Well, just
If
then think
if at
about having
all.
to wait from 1997 until 2022.
Oh yeah, right. Without giving it away, does the second one end like as like a with a cliffhanger or
Yes,
something?
yes.
Oh,
It
okay.
ends with a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay.
And
I know that that Lars von Trier intended as a trilogy, but that he wasn't even sure that it would happen at a certain point. That's why I wasn't sure if maybe like that one is just more closed ended.
no, they
Oh,
they
okay.
at the time that they made it, they were fully intending to do it again. I go over it a little bit in the previous part, but they were fully intending to do the third series, but the ownership of the station changed hands, and the new owners just like really didn't care for it, and so they didn't
Yeah.
make it a priority. And Lars von Trier, whose film like international film career was taking off in the late 90s, early 2000s, was like he had other things on his plate, just didn't really press the issue. And so it kind of just lay fallow for years. And
Yeah.
then at a certain point, he just figured, like, I'm never going to be able to do it because a lot of the cast has died.
Yeah, man, 25 years. That is a long time to wait for a show to come back.
Well, that and Twin Peaks.
Hey, see you in 25 years. Or
Yep.
yeah, right? That's the
I'll see
line.
you again in
I'll
25
see you
years.
again in 25 years. Look at that. Well, I have to say, The Kingdom was a great experience. I really enjoyed this a lot. It is something that I will revisit.
Well,
Um,
we're not even done. We got to go on to the second one.
yeah, I know. I mean, eventually, yeah. But
Well, we
uh,
better do it quick because I'm just going to start watching it.
yeah, I know. I like I told you, I want to do two per episode. So maybe after the new year we can get on that and do because yeah, I am really excited to find out what happens.
Well, me too. I'm very much excited to go to Exodus, the new one. I may just have to go ahead and watch that and then like rewatch it when it comes time to
Yeah,
record about it because
yeah,
um I'm just like every time I look up Wikipedia for the kingdom so I can make sure I have the character names correct,
yeah.
I see a little bit more about the new
Oh,
series because it's
yeah,
very prominently displayed on the Kingdom Wikipedia
yeah,
that and IMDb too, because all of the new cast members are the ones that are like up at the top of the search engine.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, that person, oh, I don't want to.
yeah. That is true.
So I may just like go ahead and watch the rest of it, and then
Yeah,
we can record our episodes, and I'll make sure that I
yeah.
rewatch to kind of keep it fresh in my mind.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, this was a very interesting entry into the 1001 movies you must see before you die. I mean, we watched the show version, but it was very yeah, it was very enjoyable. It was very good. I definitely recommend it. If you have movie, check it out. We will be doing Kingdom 2. Uh, we're gonna I'm sorry, we're gonna continue with the Kingdom trilogy, and we're gonna continue with Kingdom 2 and watch the next episode, which is episode 5 and episode 6, and we will go through those up until the end, and then we probably will be doing maybe that will be my revisit after we're done with all this. We can revisit the actual 4-hour movie version of the first Kingdom, which is the version that is on the 1001 movies. And yeah, well, I guess that's it. And we talked about what you're doing on the show at the top of the show. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we sign off?
No, but I do want to say, just like really quick, I want to talk about this. The 1001 movies only has the first miniseries, like the movie version, but it only has that first one, and it ends the same way. How would you feel about this if I guess we can talk about it if we could decide to come back and revisit it as the movie version, but how would you feel about it not continuing for this podcast, like only watching that? Like if what we've seen
Yeah,
so far is all we had for the kingdom, how would you feel about that and its inclusion?
you know what? Yeah, you actually bring up a good point. I didn't consider that. I think maybe you have to consider the entire thing, right? Because the way that it ends as not it's not an ambiguous ending. It's setting up that there is more to come. Like I don't know. Like I can't think of very many movies that are like that are on this list that are just kind of like all three Lord of the Rings movies are in this book. It's not just the set. It's not just Return of the King or just the first one, especially the first one because the first one sort of kind of just like it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, but it just like the way the story ends is just it doesn't seem very conclusive. It leaves you wondering where it could be going if you're not familiar with the books. But I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I would say that this,
Yeah,
including only this and none of the rest of it, would be even worse than like just including A New Hope, but none of the sequels.
yeah,
If only because A New Hope, like that one, doesn't need a sequel. This is definitely just saying like at the end of it, he says, "Well, that wasn't really an ending. It's more like a beginning." And there are like, where's everybody going to go from here? You're just going to have to come back and watch it. It is so clearly just the end of the chapter. It's not the end of the
yeah.
story. That it um I mean, I guess I understood it when there was only the first one and the second one, and the second one wasn't released anywhere as a movie. So I guess I get why it's not on the list. Um, it would break the format of what they're doing in the book.
Right, yeah,
But it is like you kind of have to take it as a whole, right? Like you do. I can't imagine getting to that end of this and being like, well, I'm done. I don't need any more. I guess I could because it's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to want to see Udo Kier's bloody screaming head sticking out of a woman's vagina in
yeah.
graphic close up. That's not something everybody's going to see and be like, oh, give me more of that. So I get that, but
I
also like
yeah.
it does, like, you just got to see where it goes from here. At least I do. I just feel like I got to see what's going on now. I got to see what comes next.
I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is interesting that they have the film version and we'll see when we talk about that version, because I keep thinking about this in terms of a 4 episode thing, but that's obviously not what is referenced in the book. Because I was gonna say what I was gonna ask, like, what was I mean, this is like a rhetorical question, but like, what was the state of like Danish television in 1994? Is I know that if you compare this show to like a lot of stuff from here or maybe even England, just from 94, like there's like nothing really like the Kingdom.
Yeah,
But
not that I know of, because but I have no idea what Danish
yeah,
television is like. I
exactly.
don't.
Yeah. Like, is this the norm? Or like is it, or like is this like really like in a like around this time you have Lynch and then you have Lars von Trier like sort of like dabbling in television. It's like sort of like the auteurs moving away from film into television. So maybe it feels that, but I don't know. Like David Lynch, I guess I don't know. Twin Peaks, like the well, here you go. I'm talking about the show, not the. So that would, but I don't know. Like the Kingdom, there is something special about the Kingdom. I'm trying to envision it as a movie, but the way it's structured, the way it's written, all these different elements that are incorporated in this sort of celebration, like it's like just the way Von Trier as a director, like his appreciation for cinema from the past, like it's all over this, and I think that's part of the beauty of it and what works.
Yeah, very well said. I'll agree with that.
All right. So that's it for the episode. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Dialect Podcast. Rate and review us on anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple Podcasts. Happy New Year, and thank you so much for listening.